And then you watch the other room and it's like, okay, Teresa, what's the narrative now? What are we going to say? Like, what do we have to prove now? Like it's just very manufactured, in my opinion.
Virtual reality.
Rachel Fuda, Danny and I are so beyond thrilled to chat with you after last night's Off the Rails Real Housewives of New Jersey special. There is so much to unpack, but first we just gotta say congratulations on the pregnancy. That was the biggest reveal of the whole entire thing.
Thank you. Oh, you know what? It was really nice to like watch it back and to feel like such positivity and to like really see me with my girls and like everyone genuinely be happy for me and just enjoy that moment with them because I feel like our show has gotten so dark and so toxic that it's very far and few between when we're like smiling and celebrating something and we're like excited and happy. So I watched it back and I'm like, oh, it gave me all the feels, you know?
I know, and it was a nice thing of like looking forward to the future and everything. You're like, guys, no, there is good things coming up. Like I know we can't we're separated right now and there's fighting, but we can be happy together. Well, at least the groups can be happy with the groups.
Well, you know what it is, Danny? It's like we have like true relationships with each other. And I think that's the thing that was so unique about our room for the watch party is that it was looking at true relationships versus manufactured relationships, right? And I feel like that was a very stark reality. And it's so clear because like I feel like when you were watching our room, it's like a group of friends like bantering, making comments, gasping, laughing, like all those little things that we would do if we were sitting on my living room couch, and we have done. And then you watch the other room, and it's like, okay, Teresa, what's the narrative now? What are we gonna say? Like, what do we have to prove now? Like it's just very manufactured, in my opinion.
That's a good point. I feel like as a viewer, I can see that. I can see that distinction. It was so great to see you and Fessler right from the jump sort of patch things
I
up. I wasn't
know.
expecting that because y'all were not doing well. What was the difference here? Was it her sort of seeing and admitting that she was wrong in supporting Jennifer Aydin versus Danielle? Did that make it easier for you to move forward with her?
Think so. I think it was just there was just like a lot of space between the two of us and you know like when time passes and things happen like I don't really know there was just a big disconnect with the two of us and there was like some things that she didn't like that I did and there was things that I didn't like that she did and like just seeing the way that she kind of like discredited our friendship on the show like just put like her confessional comments and things like we had just had a couple of things to get off of our chest I don't know that you guys got to see all of that. It was very brief, but there was a lot. I feel like there was a lot that they had to fit into the episode, unfortunately. But once we kind of like talked through it, it was like smooth sailing because at the end of the day, like Jen Fessler and I did have a true friendship and we did have a true relationship. And that makes it a whole lot easier to forgive people when you truly do care and you're coming from a good place.
Well, now I want a part two of Off the Rails because I was so happy because I love you and Fessler, so I'm glad that you guys are friends again. But I was like, oh, that happened fast.
Thank you.
What do you feel was kind of like the main moment? Because she did kind of own up to being like watching the season fall, like go through times that she was told different things than what actually happened, and also kind of looking online and everything. She was like, all right, now I'm getting the actual story. Do you think it was just kind of that internal situation with her?
Think that Jen really wanted to form her own opinion based on her own experiences. But when things get so dark and your friends are affected so deeply by things, there also has to be a point where you stop and reevaluate the situation for just face value, right? And I think hindsight is 2020, so it's much easier now to be like, well, I should have done this and I should have done that. It's much harder to be strong in the moment. It's easier to say it after the fact.
Totally.
That mean?
This off the rail situation, it was actually really interesting to watch as a viewer, and I'm sure it's also very interesting for you after the fact because you're watching the finale for the first time, so you have all these reactions, thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Meanwhile, there's another group of girls having the same experience, and then you watch the off the rail special and you see everyone's thoughts and reactions said between the two different. Were there anything said from the other room that you were shocked, surprised, want to clear up, want to respond to?
I mean, not in particular. I think the only two things that really stick out to like that affected me or like that I had really strong opinions about was obviously Teresa defending, what Louis said about Margaret and her family. That to me was like, she like went so hard forward and then got the memo through the lines from Dolores, backtracked and like, don't try to justify it. Sometimes it's okay to say that like your partner is wrong. That's also part of being in a relationship is being able to say, I wish that you wouldn't have handled it that way. And you could have said A, B, C, and D, or maybe just don't say it on camera. Like there's also
Mhm.
that option, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like let's keep those conversations private. And then the other thing that like, so I don't know if you guys caught this, but the audio was like a little wonky and I didn't have my subtitles on. So I couldn't really hear, like I was having a hard time differentiating like who was saying what at some points.
Mhm.
But I swear that Jen Aydin called me cheap when
Yes.
Danielle
She
Yes.
did.
Yes. I caught that. I wanted to ask you about
okay.
that. She was calling you cheap, and she said that your hair looked like shit. Is that what she said? I was like, first of all, your hair looks
If there are
fabulous.
two things that I am definitely not, it is cheap and I have amazing hair. So that like
Yes.
I can't even believe that like what? So for some reason, and like this is no shade to Danielle, she is my girl. But like I kind of feel, and I would never defend Jen Aydin except for this circumstance right now, is I feel like maybe they took it out about her saying about Danielle to make it about me because I
Mm.
had a beautiful charcuterie spread. Like that was just the cracker tray, okay? Like that wasn't the whole bang and shabam. And my hair looked great. Not that Danielle's didn't, but like, why would Jen say that about me? It just felt misplaced.
It felt very weird because you and Jen weren't really outwardly beefing that much. So I kind of was like, well, now why is she mad at Rachel for no reason? But it does go along with a lot of people saying Jen Aydin has just been kind of throwing like her money and everything at like Danielle's face and stuff, which people are kind of even Tamara went on a whole rant about that too. I don't know if you saw that, where she's kind of like,
I love a Tamara rant.
love a Tamara rant, kind of being like, well, why is Jen? It's like tacky if you have all that money to do all that, and if you're saying Danielle needs more money for a charity, just pay for it, type of stuff. Do you feel Jennifer just kind of like why is that constantly her defense flex?
Think because it's, and I don't mean this in a rude way, but I think in Jennifer's mind, it's the only thing that she has that Danielle doesn't. So it's just easy for her because she thinks that that hurts Danielle, but it doesn't because Danielle is so fulfilled in the ways that matter. And her and Nate do so well for themselves. Just because Danielle's doesn't have 16 bathrooms or whatever, however many she has, doesn't mean that they don't have it. Not everybody uses their money in the same way. So for her to stand in judgment over someone else's financial position is classless, tacky, and cheap.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Danielle and Nate, I am curious to get your reflections on this whole man boob situation. Obviously, body shaming is kind of the lowest of the low that you can do. It's just really not cool, especially in 2024. I thought, as a society, we've moved past that. But it seems like Jen, even after the fact, at least we didn't see it on the Off the Rail special. There seems to be no remorse for the comment. And, as someone who feels ways about my body. Like if someone said I had boobs and my partner heard it, I would hope they would also lunge across the table. So what are your thoughts? I mean, how do you think Danielle handled the situation?
I really think, first of all, Danielle always does what's authentic to her. And I respect that so much because she's unapologetic about it. And there has to be a part of you, no matter if you hate her or love her, that respects that. And I think that Jen Aydin knows she is like a professional button pusher. Like she knows
Mm.
exactly what's going to piss that person off. But do you know what's even funnier is that we all heard through the grapevine, and this was said but not shown, that Bill had actually had the surgery. What's it called?
Like
What is that?
To get rid of
What I don't know
like a
what the
moob
name is.
remover?
like a man boob
It's like
removal?
the opposite of a breast augmentation. There's a name for it, and I can't remember it.
Like a breast reduction.
Um, No, it's when it's a different it's a different name. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it's a surgery that you can have to like remove the fat tissue in the breast area.
Is it a
And
gynecomastia?
allegedly, what happened? Oh, my light just died. Damn
Is
it.
is it a
Um,
gynecomastia? Something like
something
that?
with
Okay.
the G. Like
Okay.
we're in the right family.
Okay.
Yes. So allegedly he had that procedure done. So it's a lot of what is they project their things onto other people. But it's okay because Bill had his fix, so like we're gonna throw it at Nate, right?
Right.
By the way,
Oh.
like this is also somebody that's like made comments about my nose. Like this is what she does. Like she comments on people's appearance, and that to me is like equally as low as commenting about somebody's financial situation. Like it's not your business.
Oh, speaking of financial situations, Danny and I need to talk to you and get your theories on this. I guess it was a deleted scene because in the trailer we saw that they were talking about Teresa and Louie's finances. Then there was this scene where Teresa and Louie were having some sort of conflict in front of their house with the producer. It didn't play in the season. I don't know if we're saving it for a secrets revealed, but do you have any thoughts or theories about that situation? I know your girl Danielle was sort of tapped in with Teresa during filming. Did she have anything to say about it?
Danielle never really divulged in anything. She is, I will say, she's a stand-up woman. She really is. Like she's not the
Mhm.
kind of person that's going to start divulging in someone's information. And I would never even put her in a situation to ask. I would never. But I don't know what that scene is. I've asked around.
Let us
You
know.
phoned a
And
friend.
unfortunately, there's really no tea there. Like it doesn't sound like it was really as big as of a thing as maybe it had seemed.
Oh.
And there's also like a lot of legalities to things, so that there's that too. But I don't know. And to be quite honest with you, their financials are not my problem. Thank God.
Truly, thank God for all involved with that. Wait, but because you and I like that you were mentioning how Danielle's a stand-up friend, even if her and Teresa aren't really on speaking terms. She's like, I'm not gonna go and air out a lot of stuff. Jackie has been having some issues with the whole big reveal that she met with the ex and everything like that, which was so crazy. How was
Wild.
watching her sit next to Teresa and try to explain through it? Because your room was kind of like hypothesizing, like, I bet she's doing this right now, and she kind of was. Like, how was watching Jackie's performance in the Off the Rail special for you?
Jackie, I just feel like you can read her so easily. Like it's a
Mhm.
very like she just looks physically uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Like to be in that space. Like there's no authenticity in that friendship. There's just not. And I think that it's so transparent, in my opinion. And she's just doing what she has to do at this point. I mean, what is she going to do? Crawl back to Margaret? Like she's already embarrassed herself this much. Like she made her bed. She might as well just lay in it.
Mhm.
Right. Well, I am also curious to get your thoughts on the future of the show. It could go one of three ways, right? It could go the y'all's side of the room versus their side of the room, or we could do an entirely new reboot with a whole new cast. If the direction is, and Matt Rogers said that he would agree with it going with the Melissa, Marge, Rachel, Dolores, Danielle version of events. If it went that way, and Jackie still wanted to maintain a spot on the show, and she did come crawling back to you guys and Marge and create a friendship, do you feel like you would welcome her or welcome that?
Use welcome as the word, but I think that I don't think I don't know how Margaret would feel about that. For me, like there was a lot of things that you guys didn't get to see between even Jackie and I this year.
Oh.
But it's nothing that you can't come back from. And I don't really think that Jackie is the one that's like pulling it in one direction. Does that make sense? Like I think that she could make it work if she had to. I mean, she's just done it with Teresa, so I think that she could definitely do it again. I just don't think it would be authentic. And I think
Mhm.
that's the biggest problem. I think that our show is truly lacking authenticity in its relationships and friendships. And yeah,
And how does it feel? Because Bowen and Matt, who are such Bravo fans and they're so funny, on Watch What Happens Live after the Off the Rails ends, and like Matt kind of like he made Andy make direct eye contact with him when he was saying what he wants from the future of Jersey being your room at Rails. Like, how does that feel having like the vocal support of what people actually want in the future of the show to be going?
I truly appreciate the support. I really do. I think that whatever it's going to be it's going to be. And I appreciate
Mhm.
everyone that supports not only like our room and our side, but also my family.
Yeah.
And we've had a hard year. Like it really hasn't been smooth sailing for us on the show, like it's been a rocky year. So to have that support really feels good because there's been a lot of negativity and there's been a lot of that coming at us. So it feels good to kind of like have that moment of like I other people see we're good people. Like, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Right now, I mean, you do make a good point. Like in that room, there really are genuine friendships, and I think that's what you need to make a Housewives series work. It sounds like you and the other girls in that room do want to come back and make it work with that. Like, what do you want out of the show in its return? Like for yourself, you obviously want to be included. You would like to see all your friends come back.
I would love to be included. And I think that whatever they decide to do with the show, whether they reboot it, they bring some of us back, none of us back, all like whatever it is, I would love to see the show move in a more positive direction. I would love to see the show be a little bit lighter. I would love the girls to be able to go on cash trips and see that fun. You
Mm.
guys have to realize like this year we went to the Jersey Shore and we at least have fun in our cash trips. Like
Yeah.
we missed that whole chunk. I feel like the only time any of us laughed was at my slumber party event.
Truly.
That
And
was
that was,
it. So
you even
I
laughed
think
with
that
Aydin
that's a
too.
plus. What I know. It was just like a feel good thing. And I think that that's a component that's like really missing. And I don't know. That would really just be my hope for the future. And I also don't want this negativity to seep into any like new women that decide to go on this adventure. I want them to have a positive experience and I want it to be fun for them. And some of the girls on this show, it's virtually impossible.
Right. I mean, like obviously we love Housewives because we love the drama, and I thought like a really good but we love conflict and resolution. And what I thought was a really good example of conflict and resolution was seeing Dolores with her like veins popping out of her neck, calling Margaret a lying "see you next Tuesday." Like I'm never that
Right?
honestly that scared the living out of me. But then they made up so fast after, which I loved to see. I just wanted like what were your thoughts on seeing Dolores that mad? Because every time
I
I
was
think about
scared.
it, I get a shiver up my spine.
I was shook it. I was like, I can't even make the face like my Botox is now breaking down because I haven't had it in so long, so I can kind of move my face. But I was like, so I didn't even have words because I've literally never seen Dolores that mad. I've never, like, even if you flash back to the reunion when, like, they were bringing up Frankie and she stood up and everything, like, she wasn't even that mad? So I was just kind of like, whoa, is that really what you're mad about? Like, was there something else that was said that we didn't get to see? And, like, I don't know. It just felt like very misplaced anger. Um, I don't know. I mean, as far as I remember, she was invited to the whatever that was called, the
Okay.
reunion thing. But Margaret and her remember it different ways, and that's their problem.
That is protecting peace. But I do like because we also saw Dolores get a little bit more activated and holding Teresa to like she was the one in that room holding people to things when the comment about Marge's son came up and Dolores was like, Teresa, I'm not gonna let that slide. How did you like watching her kind of be like, okay, it is her, she hits it both ways. Did you feel that or your face gonna give me?
I feel like that was probably the one circumstance that I felt like she held her ground on.
Mm,
But then ultimately like backed off. Like I just feel like that's you can't defend that. You just can't. Like that's just one of those things where it's like, shouldn't have said it. He was wrong. Like, but I was happy to see her stand up for what was right. And I really don't feel like that had anything to do with Margaret at all. Like I feel like if you insert me, Danielle, Jen Fessler, like it's the same argument, whoever he would have been talking about in that moment, like it should have been defended. So I was definitely happy to see her stand up for what was right because she always says that she does that.
Yeah. Now, before we let you go, Rachel, at the end of the special, when everyone was sort of having their reflections on what they regret, what they didn't regret, you said you sort of regretted not exposing Louis more, which I thought was really interesting. But you said your morals held you back, which is also very interesting because we don't see that in a lot of housewives and just across the franchise. Do you have any receipts you might drop later? Is it over? Like what were you talking about?
Everything that's done in the dark comes to light. And I think that is truthfully my biggest downfall as a housewife is that I do have a moral compass and that I do not want to destroy people's lives and reputations, unlike the people that I've been on this show with for the last 2 years.
Mm.
And I don't have, I don't need to drop anything because it's all going to come out. You can't hide forever, not in the public eye anyway, on a show like this.
Mhm. Well, those morals are why you're an amazing friend, wife, and mom to soon to be again now, because we are also excited for that journey for you too.
Thank you. I'm scared.
No, it's great.
You're gonna be a pro. I mean,
You're
you
so
already done it.
fun.
Yes.
You've done this a few times before, so you're good.
I have, but now I have Jaden's leaving for college, and now Gigi's going to be going into kindergarten next year, and Juliana, and it's like a whole thing. So I was like hysterically crying last night. I was reading a letter like a mom wrote to her kid going into kindergarten. I was bawling on the couch. I was like,
Oh my God. Oh,
Oh,
I
when
can
they
only,
grow up, it's so hard.
yeah. Well, we're so excited for you. Good luck with the
Thank
pregnancy.
you.
I feel like you're gonna smash it again. You're super mom and you are a super housewife, and we always appreciate any time we get with you.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I always love talking to you.
and congratulations again.
Thank you.